Boxing King Media, powered by BYD now. Johnny Nelson in the house. We're in Barnsley in a pub. Callum Simpson's just got a big date announced for himself to fight Zach Shelley.
With the Garrison. I opened this pub 6 years ago.
No way, did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just came around and I think I've been here before. And the owner said, "Remember you opened it?" I'm like, yeah, I remember this. Callum Simpson. We've been down to the Barnsley football ground today. Zach Shelley turned up, suited and booted, looked the part. Callum Simpson is a big deal for him. Ticket sales, it'll be a sellout. And more. They're trying to talk John Flatman into opening another stand as well. That's how popular this can be. There's a big possibility that Callum can turn into a bit of a phenomenon here in Barnsley. But it's a tough fight. It's a tough ask. I'm not afraid of saying that and telling him that. He's got to look at it that way as well. Zach Shelley's tough. Zach Shelley is even if he has reached his ceiling in regards to how well he'll do as a professional fighter, that's a big door, a big gate to get through. And that's not any. And Callum's going to have to show elements of his fighting skills that we've not seen. He's fighting hard. He's fighting game plan. He's got to box. He's got to fight. He's got to be strong. He's got to be rugged. He's got to use everything he has in his artillery to beat Zach Shelley if he wants to get past that ceiling and go on to bigger and better things.
Whilst he was talking, just realised the T-shirt behind you, a legendary footballer from your era.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Paul Gascoigne, old school man, old school.
Talking of old school, I'm just curious, when's the last time, I can't really think top of my head, you're going to know because obviously you're the old school compared to me, but when was the last time Barnsley had like a boxing star that they could build like this? I'm trying to rack my brain, I can't think of anyone.
There was a guy called Chris Saunders. Chris Saunders boxed a guy called Kevin Lewisham. So you lot, that are watching this, if you know your boxing, you know what I'm talking about. I think he had Kevin Lewisham down. Chris could bang, Kevin Lewisham could bang. And Chris, he was a bit of a celebrity here in Barnsley, and you know what, he just fell short at a hurdle, but he had an amazing following. Barnsley's crying out for somebody to follow, not just a football, regardless of how they do. Barnsley, there was 150 people there today. They made noise. Can you imagine what it's going to be like at the football ground, the stadium, when there's 7,000 people there? And I reckon 95% of them are going to be Callum's fans. So it'll be interesting if he wins. I'm quite sure it's something they'll try and keep bringing back in. And I like the fact that Yorkshire keep producing. At the moment, we've got Dr. Smith in Sheffield. So coming through. Yorkshire up and down, but keep churning them out, keep turning over, because there's just something here that brings a fighting man or woman out in you.
Definitely so. Talking to Zach Shelley, his opponent, is it fair to say there's a good argument for Zach probably having the best resume domestically, because he's not shied away from anyone. From like his fourth or fifth fight, he was fighting undefeated guys, and the experience he's got in the ring is like, obviously if you compare it to Callum's, could that be a game changer in this fight?
Massive game changer, and that's what I'm saying. Actually, this fight happening now from Zach Shelley is a great move, because he's better off doing it now before Callum gets more experience and becomes an even better fighter. Get him now while he's still a fresh cherry, you know what I mean? And so for Zach, this is, he's a tough fighter, and I know people are getting carried away with the excitement of this, but this is a tough fight for Callum. This is a fight that he could lose, if he doesn't get it right. But he's willing to take the risk because he believes he's bigger than this and better than this.
Were you making a favourite in this, just going in as it stands now?
Of course, I'd have to say I'd make Zach the favourite, because Zach's proven. And so you'd be silly to go against a favourite in somebody. It's like, I suppose it was like going against Chris Billen Smith. Chris Billen Smith proved he had a certain fight about him that we've not seen from Richard Riakpo, and that's going to be the same with these two. Zach Shelley's proved that there's a certain artillery in his fight that we've not seen in Callum yet. So if you haven't seen, you can't bet on something you haven't seen unless you've seen it behind closed doors. So I think Zach is the favourite. Callum's got to prove, you know what, I've got to show you something here.
Just curious, did you ever fight outdoors in your career?
I did in Brazil, in Thailand, in America. I boxed all over the world, man. So I did.
I'm just curious, what's it? I generally didn't know that you fought outdoors, but what was it? What's it like fighting outdoors with the wind blowing, and is it different at all?
It's different. I suppose it's like if you can swim in a swimming pool, then you go in open water and you swim. You're still swimming, but it's a different kind of swimming, man. Because you get out there and you think, damn, this is a big deal. But you've just got to remember, I've just got to swim. That's all I've got to do is swim. It's the same thing, same story, different situation. But it's a great feeling. It's a big fight feeling.
Wicked. And last thing I want to speak to you about, we saw Anthony Joshua put up a post earlier today, basically saying negotiations for my fight are almost done, and basically hinting that his fight is pretty much done, and I believe it's going to be announced next week unless it's leaked over the weekend. What's your gut instinct saying? Is it going to be Dubois, Zhang, Parker?
It's Dubois. It's clearly Dubois. It's like, if you know it's Dubois. Does it make better financial sense? Yeah. Is it the less of the two evils? Yeah. And so for Anthony Joshua, and you hear very many rumours about how they sparred and the ding-dongs. They're rumours, and sparring and fighting are two different things. So to me, I think AJ said something like, the bad thing about boxing, you've got to break someone's dreams. And I think King Dubois, even though Dubois is kind of on a roll now coming through, I think AJ's worn that T-shirt, he's danced that dance. This is AJ's time in this situation, and AJ will be too sharp, hits too hard, too concussively for Dubois to get hit. And you see he gets hit. So we'll see.
It's interesting because what you said there, and I'm watching the build-up to the Hrgović fight, the exact same narrative was put out there about Hrgović. He hits too hard, he's too quick, he's too slick, he's dominated him in sparring.
Yeah, I understand that, but Hrgović, and I'd seen in previous fights, he switches off in fights, like he don't want to be there, and then he's talked back into the fight mid-fight. So when you think this man's broken, his heart's broken, and I think Dubois showed something in his artillery, persistence. Hrgović got the cut, he was feeling sorry for himself. If the cut wasn't there, they'd probably come back out again. But I think Dubois was fighting the right fight. Hrgović is a funny character, because as I said, he'll be fighting and then they're just like you don't want to be here. They knock you out the next round. So I understand that. And Hrgović is completely different from Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a lot quicker, a lot longer, a lot taller, hits a lot harder, a lot more athletic than Hrgović. And so, yeah, styles make fights.
Just the last thing on that, how good is it to see Daniel Dubois, if it is him, to get that opportunity? Because obviously we saw over the years people destroyed him on the socials about the Joyce loss.
I was one of them, and I just thought, this boy don't want it. And the problem is, he's a boy that's had to grow up into a man in front of the cameras. And unfortunately, in our game, you're going to get critiqued, and if you can't take the heat, you shouldn't be boxing. So Daniel's had to take the heat. Daniel's had to, he's been criticised, he's been critiqued, and now he's in a position where he's like saying, "Oh, and I've grown up now. I get it. I remember what you said. I'll not forget it. I know how fickle people can be." And now all of those people are saying, "Oh my God, Daniel Dubois is X, Y, Z." He's had to grow up. He's still a young heavyweight.
He definitely is. Well, I look forward to this fight and obviously the announcement next week. Any last words, Johnny?
Last words at Barnsley, August the 3rd. I think if you're a Yorkshire boxing fan, get yourself up here. If you want to do the north-south divide, getting involved in that argument, good. The weekend of boxing, I think it was set up for two South Londoners to come away victoriously. They didn't. And each of those big fights, the right man won. The weather kind of put a dampener on it. But, it goes on and on and on. We've got some amazing boxing to look forward to.
We definitely have, and just to drop it out there, I'm not going to announce what it is officially, but we've got something coming out, probably hopefully next week sometime, that you're involved in, a new show, and I think the fans are going to love it. It's not just Johnny on his own, but we're going to have Johnny plus people and plus guests, and I think it'll be something exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. I think you've got an amazing reach, so as far as I'm concerned, this is something I'm quite looking forward to.
Indeed, Johnny Nelson, thank you for your time.